cause you know I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Web3 breakfast, serving size like Texas. I'm a beast, yeah, baby. You know I'm reckless. We stacking blue chips, my people buy the dip. Matt Black Lambo coming soon. Don't forget, sign the check.
Web3 breakfast. Fuck a Lexus, push a Maserati, keep a diamond Jesus on my necklace. I'm living reckless. Fuck a job, cash the check, grab the bag, hit the flight, we on the next one. Wife changing money, just ask my honey. Got a diamond on my face, I can't help it, I'm new money.
Web3 breakfast, wake and bake, appreciate the checklist, moderate the state, perplexing everything you say, and not to mention, fuck, I think I rug. Maybe I should shrug it off, go touch some grass, perhaps some plug.
Web3 breakfast,
Web3 breakfast.
Web3 breakfast.
Yeah, ho. Hopefully we got this thing going. Can you guys hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. It sounds like I'm coming through the all right. Perfect. 7, let me bring you on up here. Let's go. Turbo is going to be doing some construction stuff today. I believe they're working on a bathroom, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think he'll be as active as normal, especially on a Friday. But that's all right. That does not mean that there's not going to be a great show. I do want to talk about some things, overcoming adversity and what that really means, to the Web3 warrior mindset. And this is like something I want to develop because I think it's like really important. Like, because Web3 is a different beast than most. You hear people talking about, the being a founder, being a leader in Web3, has its unique set of challenges. It's constant. You got a lot of people that you need to make happy that maybe don't understand, the traditional investment world or how business works. And so, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And, it's not for the faint-hearted, being a founder for a project, we know that. I'm not a project founder, but I understand all the challenges. I've talked to certainly enough of them to understand, I am a leader of a community. So I understand, what we do here and how that pertains and kind of the crossover and stuff. So I think this is going to be a great conversation today. I mean, it's Friday, right? So obviously we got to have some pizza talk too. But when it comes to coming over these challenges, man, this is the game that we're in. This is the realm that we're in, and specifically working with a project, and the founders. There was a few times, and these are other projects too that I've been working with, that ended up rugging, like Carrie at Champagne Wise Club. She sat with Turbo and I one night and said she didn't know if she had what it takes to be a Web3 project founder. And Turbo, was very blunt and was like, listen, it's shitty. Like, you've got, and ultimately she rugged on us, and so that is what it is. But it's just making sure that if you come to the party, make sure you rise to the occasion. I think is the moral of the story here. But anyway, that's what I want to talk about later. Let's chop it up though, like we do on a Friday. How about the mutant floor price going over a little over 6 yesterday, and then coming back down? I think like 5.9. What is it right now? 5.89. Yeah. So love to see those mutants go back up. Makes me happy as a mutant holder. That's for sure. Let me bring a couple folks up here. Man, I love it. Everybody in the crowd looking to join up. There we go. I think we have more speakers than listeners. GM fam, what's happening, everybody?
GM, dude. I just saw Matthew on that daily finance space. I was going to join, and then I was like, oh no, the Web3 breakfast is happening. So I guess, Matthew, tell us more about that if you get a chance.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened. I joined that show. I think Danish just does a great job of having some really interesting financial news topics, and I typically join it at 8 o'clock. I kind of stopped joining some other NFT conversations or any other Web3 conversations just to branch out a little bit. I get my daily dose of Web3 through my Web3 breakfast fam. So I was trying to branch out, and then Mario just put me up on stage, and I was like, okay. And then they started talking about crypto in the beginning, and so we were just chatting about crypto. But anytime I'm just going to be on stage for 1,000 people in a Twitter space, I'm just going to stay on there and just throw up some emojis. It was a great time.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
It was like 4,000, I think, right?
I don't know. I wasn't even counting. I was so worried that they were going to ask me a question that I wasn't going to have any idea. There's some really smart people in that room. I was like, really, please don't ask me a question I can't answer.
That's awesome. So Goody, who actually does a lot of the scheduling and stuff for Mario, he's been working with AJ, and so he's coming into town like every couple of weeks. I think he's coming in town in a few weeks, and so he is the gateway into the round table and the other shows that Mario offers. That really, like, when you talk about exposure, you don't get an opportunity to make money to be on those things, but what you do is like tremendous exposure. And so Matthew, like, when we next time I see him, I will make sure to have a concentrated effort to talk to him about what you bring to the space and stuff, and why it would be important to get you on there, because you need more exposure for what you do, man.
I really, really appreciate that. And, Isle Marauder was just so kind the other day, saying something very similar. And I guess one of the things that's so exciting about this sort of change in market sentiment is how eager people are to learn, and how eager they are to get in the space and try to participate, because so many people haven't, in the previous runs and the previous, sort of market cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was talking about this with my business partners as well. It's like, okay, great. The numbers are going up from like a portfolio perspective, but now you're getting more people interested. You're getting that like frothy market sentiment about people trying to learn. And this is like, and Jay, just exactly to your point of continuing to stay in this build market, it's going to continue to pay dividends. Like, we've laid this whole foundation, and all of a sudden it's going to be so much easier to ride the wave of this like rising tide lifting all boats, from both a content perspective and just an engagement perspective. I'm just super excited about it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and you can't forget about the the excitement of all the noobs that are going to come in with this rising tide too. So we got a lot of work to do, to make sure that when the people do come in, that they come into the right area, the right space. What you got for us, Murata?
I was just going to add that you're so spot on. My dad called me this morning. I was at the gym, and he's just like, "Hey, so I heard about this whole like Ethereum ETF thing. Like, do you think I should buy some?" And I was like, "Dad, I've been telling you to buy some all year long. Like, you're not listening to me. Stop. Just listen to me." Yeah, dude.
Are we at a local top?
Literally, we're almost there. I think we're going to get one more dip, and then we're going to take off.
Yeah, that's what I think. If you look at, let's look at this really quick for Bitcoin, because there's some shit that's on a tear. You got like ETH at 8% on today. I love to see it hold that 2K mark, but the question is, when does this stuff come back down? But we know with Bitcoin, Bitcoin is sitting at 36.95, right? Do we expect this thing to get up? So. Do you think that we're going to see a push to 40, and then that's what's going to bring us back down?
I mean, something like that probably. I think we're not going to go below 40 anytime soon. I think that's not 40, sorry, 30. I think we're past like the $20,000 days. That being said, though, we did shout out, I think Immutable X, was it yesterday or the day before? Did you see that pump?
Yeah. Woo-wee. I think it was on the gainers, wasn't it? Let's pop that up.
Yeah, it's like the top gaining coin on CoinMarketCap, I think. It's one of them.
I think it's that.
Bitcoin's not at like 50K by halving. The big mining companies are going to start bleeding because they're not going to be profitable. No machine on the market will be profitable.
I heard it had to be 94,000. I saw one report that said 94,000 or 92,000.
Well, the new S21 series does like, but I have the S20 series that does 100 terahash each. And the new ones do 200 for each. So even those won't be profitable. So we got to have at least like a $45,000, $50,000.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, we got to run it up. It's going to run up. But the only question I have is what's up with Terra and what's up with Binance? Like, the government is hot on the trail over here. I mean, I plan for this to be a disruptive factor of some sort. And it's got to be accounted for in the equation as far as on the board, from what I can see so far. I don't know what everybody else takes, but good morning to everyone. I hope y'all having a great day. Turbo is on the road. I'm sorry I'm a little late. I was having issues finding your Twitter acts funny sometimes, and it won't show people's in spaces. So
Yeah.
good morning, Jay Chains.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, that is strange. Sometimes it doesn't show the purple thing around, so you can't navigate. I was looking, just pulled up the gainers, right? Like obviously we were talking about immutable crushing at 25% in the last 24 hours, but the star of the last day is clearly FTX, which is crazy.
FTT, baby, it's coming back.
FTT coming, but yeah, I mean, good old Gary, man, he gave him the blessing. He's like the Pope of the the investment world. Give him the blessing that you can come, if you follow the law, you can go back to business. Great, let's just start spending money on this again. What's the like? I mean, do you give them the second chance, or is this just like the black stain? Like, just if you're going to rebrand or whatever you're going to do, like give it a different name, or I don't know what happens here.
Dude, Jay, they're going to come back better than ever. That's the thing, is like they're going to come back and everyone's going to talk a bunch of crap about them. And then that's why people are going to degen and buy into it. Like that's literally going to be the reason. It's the whole thing with all the like anti-culture stuff in crypto. It's like they like literally everyone's like, oh, that's terrible. They shouldn't come back. And before you know it, they're pumping like 1500x.
That's why you saw like Luna pump after the collapse. You saw Celsius go on a run, like all this, because degens will degens, which that's something that's a point that I want to connect when we get into like more of the discussion is the Web3 warrior mindset and like how we can change away from like degen culture to something a little bit more positive, because I think that it still all means the same thing, right? It still all means the same thing. I think we just call it something a little bit more positive. All right, let's get to a hand here. Well, go ahead.
I do want to say one thing as we're warming up. If you guys and gals could join us in a traditional ceremony of simply liking and retweeting the room, it's a great way for you to show support for the speaker and host, who's the guy with the most. He's got the juice and he's on the loose right now. My man with the stand, Jay Chains. So give him some love. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you every morning, man. Jay, you've been putting on for quite some time, and it's been such an enjoyable space for me. And then we do have Seven and Matthew whenever y'all are ready.
Let's go. Whoever wants to go first between the two of you. You're both gentlemen.
Seven.
He could be changing a diaper at the moment.
Sorry. I was sending a DM. I just wanted to touch base on if anybody heard Elon talk about Gary yesterday and why they don't go after hedge funds or anybody that's controlling the market.
Well,
because they're practically owned by them, of course, we all know that. But it's very apparent that Gary is playing a big fat role, and he knows. I feel like he knows.
Why do you
when
call
his
him
time is
Gary?
up.
Why do you call him Gary? I thought his name, what is it, Smithers or Mr. Burns?
Oh, Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns.
Mr.
Yeah.
Burns. Well, Mr.
There
Burns. Okay, I'm sorry. My.
Turbo!
Mr. Burns decides, when and where to put certain things and say certain things, and I think that he just knows what the play is. Honestly, I think that he understands like where things are going to go and how things are going to react. And that's why he keeps fucking announcing this, and then 2 weeks later something comes out, and then he says something else, and then 4 weeks later the Bitcoin ETF comes into play, and now they're already saying out loud that they expect it to be up and ready before the end of January next year.
Do you think that he's just kind of under the direction now of Larry Fink? Larry Fink's like, listen,
either he's under, it's probably a group of them. They're probably all telling him like, okay, Gary, you know what to do. And he's like, just a fucking, just the dummy in the corner, like trying to figure out what the plan is. And they're just like, there's 3 steps that you have to take, and that's all you got to do. And he's like, all right, guys, and then I can go on vacation. And they're like, yes, we promise you can leave and not have to deal with any of this shit anymore.
Whatever. It's just so frustrating that, you've got things that are being controlled by someone like him. He's just such a idiot. Anyway, Marauder, Turbo.
Yeah, I was gonna add to what Seven just said. I'm not super big into conspiracies. I definitely enjoy talking about them, and I entertain them sometimes. But what I honestly think is happening is the biggest players in traditional finance, like BlackRock, not necessarily Vanguard, but like all the other ones, of course, they're realizing just how screwed we are, and that's why they're doing these ETFs. But it was like, oh wow, it's like finally settling in. And so what Gary's doing now is he's basically just trying to he's trying to manage it too. Like it's settling in his brain as well. Like, oh man, like we are screwed financially as a country. And it's like, how do we get out of this? And it's like, oh, well, we can go to Bitcoin or we can go to Ethereum or something. Like, this crypto might have the solution. And they're like, okay, well, it's kind of overpriced. Like, we should FUD it. We should FUD it and get it on the bottom because it's overpriced. So let's FUD a bunch of it. And then all of a sudden, these ETFs show up out of nowhere when the FUD is the highest. Isn't that like odd when FUD was at maximum and like all of a sudden ETFs just started showing up? Just like think about that.
Well, I mean,
it was just funny that they had been putting it into play for almost a year in advance before they even started fudding it because 90% of the fucking companies that we love and go to every single day already have blockchain technology up and ready for us to jump right on. Because next Christmas, I do believe that there will be way more NFT purchases because it will be more mainstream.
Tangible goods,
was it
physical? Yeah.
Was it this space or was it in a different space? I did a space with it was like Altcoin Daily and a bunch of AJ was there last night, and someone was talking about, and I think it might have been this Web3 Breakfast yesterday morning, talking about how I think it was Craig now that I'm thinking about it, that like 90% of the Fortune 500 companies have all filed for patents within this Web3.
It's like 450 companies.
Yeah, out of the 500 companies, like it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Like it's not a matter of if, it's when.
And it's almost like they like a lot of people that are in the space that are like that are doing good and not trying to fucking exit liquidity and whatnot. They actually understand the cycle of the way this shit works. So like with a bunch of companies that like a bunch of founders and stuff that I listen to, if they're not talking about projecting stuff, if they're saying that they're going to have their shit out like tomorrow, no, it's not going to happen. You like if they say we have a 9-month span, like we have 9 months before we get this out, like we have 18 months, 12, like whatever the case may be, and they have a roadmap. Every single game, Web3 game that I know of, literally comes out within 9 to 16 months from right now. Yeah. So whatever the hell is happening next Christmas holiday season, it is going. They already know about it. Everybody fucking already knows about it. Yeah. So whatever they're doing, like because even Apple and Louis Vuitton and like all these huge companies that we fucking know have tons of money, you think that if they drop 1% of their revenue like per year, isn't going to change our space completely? That's what we are about to start watching, is them start dripping their extra cash in that they don't want to pay taxes on, like Amazon doing a $20 million NFT marketplace. Everybody in this fucking room knows that is a drop in the bucket compared to the marketplaces that we have right now. They are literally testing the waters.
Say a drop in the square jar.
That's funny. Do you but we're so, and I want to get to these hands, but this was also a question that somebody asked last night. This was definitely from that space last night, and they had asked like, well, if we're expecting like this, this big mass of people, this big bull run to come, where's the money coming from? People are hurting. People can't pay their bills. I mean, you look at like
but we don't own anything as it is. If you look at the metrics, right, like 70% of Americans have under 100,000 in annual income. So I mean, traditionally, in a sense, the way we're living is check to check. They are in control. So it would be. That's why I was trying to tell people is retail versus institution is nothing more than that, right? This is to grow the gap, if anything, right? Because think of how many people would be called holding onto the USD, right? And that's liquidating the value of the dollar, and it's transferring it over into a new emerging current form of global currency, blockchain based. Yeah.
Yep. Matthew. Turbo, you had your hand up, and he must not have gotten his pit stand from the merch store.
I was just gonna run the whole thing off the rails, and you guys have a great conversation. I was like, you know what? Let me put my hands down for a second. Let this thing finish out, and then I could talk some shit.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Matthew, what you got for us?
part of what we talked about in the Blockchain Made Easy course was this amazing information regarding the number of patents in the United States alone is over 10,000 for blockchain-based development. So there's 10,000 different patents in the office right now getting approvals or already approved in the ecosystem for people building. And it's just amazing because they have so much back and forth politically about what is, what isn't, all these kinds of different things. And it's just like, let us build, man. Like, let us go actually build the stuff and go figure it out. And I just think it's crazy when you think about 10 and 81 of the top 100 companies in the world either have blockchain capabilities in deployment, being researched, or just otherwise actually out in the environment. So it's pretty crazy to see.
Absolutely. All right, Turbo, it's time to talk some trash because the chop shop's just about over.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to apologize for being a little late. I'm done with real life, period. Anything that's IRL, I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it in real life anymore. I'm going to just strictly go into the metaverse. That's where I'm going to live full time. And I'm taking my construction company there. So if you guys need any plumbing in your metaverse homes, please let me know. I can install you in a nice bathroom.
Okay. I love that. That's
what happens when you flush in the metaverse?
How do you flush?
Speak it into existence.
What happens when you flush in the metaverse? Where does it go?
Ooh.
Someone's wallet gets
Is it on an immutable ledger?
I just pray it's not like our current sewage system because, the more you think of that.
That's, yep. That's trash.
When you flush, it shows up on Dex Tools.
Yeah. All right. Be Frank, what you got for us?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. GM. You know what I'm saying? I heard you say that the Chop Talk was ready to finish up, so I just wanted to be frank with everybody. And I know y'all heard the proof of work going on in the background of Turbo. I know y'all heard that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the proof of work right there.
Absolutely, man. You heard the sound of, I don't know if that was a skid steer or a pallet lifter, but I bet that there's a Home Depot run going on right now in Turbo's life. Turbo, can you check in with us? How are things going at
nailed
Home Depot?
Yeah, so it's like really hard. So I can't hear like what you guys are saying and talk at the same time because I have to have it up to my ear. But yeah, like, look, man, this is the beautiful thing about where we are. You know what I'm saying? Look, I have, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have skills and ability. But what makes me most excited is where we're going in this space. You know what I'm saying? And that's, that's what excites me the most, man. So if you're out there doing your 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you got a part-time 9 to 5 or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Them days are coming to an end, but it's up to you to put the work in. So
there you go.
It's just a great reminder. That's all.
I love that, man. Positive, staying positive on a Friday. That's all that we can do is just be positive people. Always try to find that silver lining, guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure that we do retweet the space out. And if you're watching on the live stream, we are on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Make sure you smash that like. It's helpful. Smash it. It's Friday. If you like pizza, just retweet the space and smash a like.
Just off the strength of the pizza alone, you should do that. And I definitely am looking forward to having me some pizza today.
Oh, yeah.
It's become quite the tradition with the family, that you guys have brought on. So, Taco Tuesdays. And now my weeks are a lot easier to plan out thanks to Jay Chains. I do want to say, speaking on a more positive note, because, the centralized entities will have more control. They will be the main, beneficiary of things such as where we transact on marketplaces, et cetera, et cetera. However, we can't extrapolate the fact that this technology is designed to enable and empower us. And for the creative minds, this is going to be something that I feel is going to be quite the tool in the future. So I'm really excited about that. From that point of the transition, it's just bringing more awareness to people, and at least they should at this point, people that you engage with, if they have the capabilities to, any forms of savings, I would just say as a safeguard, not financial advice, but just as a safeguard. Why wouldn't you want to hedge into something that may possibly take off? I mean, it pretty much makes sense if you look at where we're going and. If you look at other countries and where they're at and what their plans are, because it's not just about, the United States. We're no longer a nation of horse and buggies, but rockets and planes. So, and satellites and all this other stuff. So we have to take that into consideration as the world transitions now to where it's headed, and that's a globalized, marketplace. It's a globalized. It's going to be a shared economy. It's just everyone's sharing. We enjoy these sorts of technologies with like Uber and Lyft, so Spotify. These are shared forms of technologies, and so I just continue to see that pattern just transcending, and I'm hoping that the world bodies and governing bodies will kind of like see this and really start working together, because we have the tools of abundance. We just have to ask and demand that, hey, you know what, it's just whatever we've been doing for so long, it's just not really working, and at the core principle, look forward to living, for the most part. There'll be a few people, but the majority are going to want to, maintain that. So,
Flight to quality, man. Flight to quality.
Absolutely. Well, that's a perfect segue into we got a few minutes to until we get to our workout break, but what I want to talk about again, overcoming adversity here, being the Web3 warrior, right? From being a founder to a leader to just being a community member. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right? Everybody, like this week, like I had a whole plan to do a whole bunch of other shit, and I just kept getting punched in the mouth with tech issues, right? That's just what happens. And so, like, what do? Do you give up, or do you just keep moving on, right? And so, everything stacks up, and things become less important because you gotta, just make sure you keep your eyes on whether it's the prize or moving forward, so you don't get caught up in the bullshit. Was talking with a Web3 project founder. I got a message the other night saying, I'm just really sick of everything being my fucking fault. Well, unfortunately, you chose to be a Web3 project founder. Then that's your fault. That's your problem. That's one of those things you got to deal with, and so there's a lot of different ways that you can digest this, a lot of different ways that you can think about it and talk about it. But so what do people do? What are your best practices? What are, the anecdotes that, help you navigate, your day, so that if you do have a bunch of adversity, how do you get over it? How do you move forward so that like a little speed bump doesn't become a roadblock, right? Because everything is just a speed bump. There's no true roadblocks. You got to sometimes navigate around it, and maybe navigate before you get to that roadblock. And you can see things coming. But what do you guys think about this kind of stuff? Because I could have a harsh opinion and say stop crying. But I think that people who truly understand this ecosystem and understand that this is a different beast. Web3 is a much different beast than a traditional business.
Gotta tell people.
You got it, and you got to understand that. Go ahead, Seven.
It's almost like Web3 moves 10 times faster than the real world, and people don't understand that until they're in it for so long that they get burnt out really fast, and then they're just like, well, fuck, how do I just make money real fast? And then they get completely tainted with the space because they don't realize that it is a building situation. It's not just going to happen overnight. Sometimes it does. Sometimes people get lucky, but it's really like people don't understand. This is the fucking pioneerism when we were building the fucking towns out in the fucking middle of the West, and all there was to get in and out of town was a goddamn railroad. And that was scary in itself because you didn't know how long it was going to be until that motherfucker came back, because there was only one going to and from. That's it. That's all it was. So I think it's really funny to see people get the way that they get about this Web3 world so quickly, because yes, founders do take on a lot of fucking responsibility that they don't realize all the kinks and little crannies that they are taking responsibility of. And a lot of people that are in this space aren't mentally fucking capable of realizing that it isn't an overnight success. They're so used to the mainstream world and getting that fucking that instant gratification with their coffee, their phone, their TV, their internet, every single thing. They don't even remember how to fucking build Legos anymore. So I think that is the whole, that's what stirs the pot. That's what gets people really weird, and they start doing shady shit, because a lot of people do the shady shit that has never done anything like that before, and then it just becomes a habit, and then they become a bad actor in the space, and it just snowballs from there. But with the foundation that we're building and talking about these kind of things and showing people that it isn't a fucking overnight success, that it will take 9 months to build a project that's actually worth the fuck that people are going to care about. That right there, I think, will give more of not a necessarily kumbaya feel to it, but it's almost like when you're walking on the beach and you see a campfire and you're like, man, I really want to go hang out with those people, and they fucking invite you, and you're like, holy shit, like this is the best day ever. Like that's the Web3 that I want to build, because that's the Web3 that I was introduced to.
Yeah. I love your passion right there, man. I think that was absolutely great. I think, the what resonates with you, what you build and cultivate in this space is yours. Then everybody's journey is individualistic, right? Like everybody gets to take and receive and give exactly what they want out of this ecosystem. And I think that's what's one of the most beautiful things about it, is that if you're here to make money, you're here to make money. If you're here to build, you're here to build. If you're here to build community, if you're here to connect with people, if you don't quite connect with people in the real world, but you do online, like there's a spot for you to like be able to do this. And that's why it's important. It's important to have these kind of conversations to talk about this shit. And I know, you switched up your PFP, so now it's hard to tell when Coach is in the building. But Coach, I don't know if you can come up. I'm bringing you up.
We really got to get him a whistle, Jay. Like that's one thing we got to do. Like when we're out and about and we see a whistle, we just need to grab him one.
That's my whistle. Turbo said that's my new sound for the space, so I've been running with it. Yep.
We got this though. Here we go.
Yo, if anybody uses that car horn, they are posing, because nobody used the car horn until I told AI it was Motor City. Let's go. Hey, healthy minds, healthy bodies, healthy portfolios. Let's get them. All right. Keep blowing the whistle.
Jeez, what is this thing's not stopping? I don't know.
I'm crying. I thought you were doing it on purpose.
No, I don't know how to make this thing stop. It's gone.
I thought you were like, okay, Turbo, shut up. Let's start this. I'm crying.
No. Apparently that's like a 30-second long file of a whistle. I thought it was just a quick little whistle. Hey, Coach, GM, how are you, fam? Did he blow the whistle? All right, I was too focused on this. There we go. All right, guys. Like Turbo said, you got to have those healthy minds, healthy bodies, and a healthy portfolio. It is Friday. That means it's pizza day, so you got to earn those slices. I'm going to be doing some push-ups. I can tell my shoulders that these push-ups, the amount of push-ups I'm doing is working out, baby. So do what you got to do to make that difference. Don't rug yourself. And we'll be back here shortly. Oh, wrong one.
Golly. I got eggs, bacon, waffles, toast. Eggs, bacon, waffles, toast. Eggs, bacon, waffles, toast. Web3 Breakfast, Jay Chains is the host. Good morning. What's up, Jay Chains? Turbo made it co-hosting. Yeah, they do their thing. If you savvy, Web3 GM, grab a plate and a seat. Let's begin. If you got something to say, come and grab a mic. We got one rule, no douchebag. Alright. Retweet the room, bring some friends. If you start to talk, you gon' stay to the end. Retweet the room, bring some friends. If you start to talk, you gon' stay to the end. Monday through Friday, we got the thorough 10 a.m. Eastern Spaces with the purpose. All about the community focus, they deserve it. Come and speak your mind with no regrets, but you serve us. Pizza on Friday, working off midway. Get the blood pumping, Web3 music is thumping. I got eggs, bacon, waffles, toast. Eggs, bacon, waffles.
Ooh, got them eggs, them bacon, them waffles, and them toasts. All right.
Oh, man. I wasn't all the way done yet, man. I still had a couple reps in.
You're in the car, so what did you do? Your Kegels?
Yeah, I was explaining to Kev. He was asking me, and he was like, he didn't want nothing to do with it. He keeps shaking his finger at me.
Oh, okay. Love that. Oh, sorry to call you out on that. I figured that's what you're going to be doing. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. That was it, and it's really funny because I threw that to you. You know what I'm saying? All the way from Tennessee, we are still connected on frequencies. Man, overcoming adversities in the Web3 warrior mindset, man. That's the conversation for today. I'm excited to jump into this, Jay, because this overcoming adversity thing, man, it's tough.
You know what I mean? Like, it'll weigh on you, and especially if you let it keep piling. I mean, like, no joke. I have literally seen project founders have to be removed because of the mental anguish that they're going through, like losing weight, like on the edge of suicide, like just completely broken down and tore down. It definitely takes a lot out of it.
That is terrible. Now, do you attribute that? And I think that we could, when we talk about this, you attribute it to the schedule, the lifestyle, right? It's never ending. It doesn't stop. Your problems, typically today, your problems are going to be your problems tomorrow. You answer a lot of the same questions. It's and I think it also stems back to a conversation we had. I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week about, when you bring people on, and you choose to make someone, whether, it's an employee, whatever you want to call it, like an employee, a community manager, all that kind of stuff. It's up to you then now as that founder to make sure that, like, if you are going to pass control off, that you pass it off to somebody who is able to handle it and manage it, right? Like, you can't, as the founder, be, this strong person and then pass the community off to someone that fails. That then becomes your fault. And not that you see this happen all the time, but go ahead, B. Frank.
Oh, look, I tried to come off mute and I dropped the phone. Look at me. So I enjoyed the conversation, right? And I totally forgot what I was going to say because I dropped the phone, but I'm going to work back to it because you were talking about leadership and you was talking about leaders in club and stuff like that. So here we go. Yeah, do me a favor. Give me a recap. Like just a couple seconds, please. Well, I can definitely I can jump in there real quick and say, Jay, you're kind of asking, is it the time and all that stuff? I think it's a combination of everything, like people get in this space, we get in these ridiculous schedules, and then we compound that with these like super highs and super lows, and it's this constant up, down, constantly. And I think that's what plays the biggest part of in a lot of this, like overcoming adversity is like you have to be able to set your emotions to the side and allow for the work or whatever it is that you're doing to move forward. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Matthew.
I think, one of the toughest things about this, and I personally have this issue, and that's why the last few weeks in the market have been really, really helpful, is the Web3 founders are venturing into a space where there's so much animosity and so much uncertainty about the ecosystem they're in. Like, if I wanted to just go create a company and it was a regular sort of standard traditional company, I may not have those kinds of ups and downs that Turbo was talking about. But not only do you have to deal with all the sentiments around your personal project, you have to deal with all the other shit that goes on regarding a Web3 narrative and a crypto narrative. You've got regulators who are against you. You've got organizations who are against you. There's so many headwinds that come toward us as people in this space. And so it really takes special people to stay with it for the long haul. So, pat yourself on the back if you've been here and you continue to stay here, or even if you're getting in the space, just know that this is not something that's going to be an easy, if it was easy, none of us would really be into it for that. And so I just think it's really important for us to step back and realize that, like, it's challenging to be a forward thinker. It's really difficult to think ahead of the crew and ahead of the masses because they're just not there yet. And you're always going to be feeling like an outsider. And that makes those things just exacerbated in that sense.
So what's,
well, yeah, and
how do you fix it?
You got to stay in the game long enough to stay relevant. Basically, you put yourself in this position, and there's really no other way around it, right? You've just got to continue to chip at it. And I think that's probably the only real advice is, and I feel like for my personal self, that was like a big thing too, where, August, September, everything's so slow, like you're not getting, like nothing's really happening. You're like, what the F am I doing here? And then you just kind of stick with it. And then like 3 months later, you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where this is going now. And it's really just a matter of consistency and showing up.
Facts. That's about 99% of the battle here, especially in Web3, is consistently showing up. That's half the battle, even though it is about 99% of it. Be Frank, and then let's go to Love, and then Modern Canadian.
Yes. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. So I took my notepad out, sitting there writing down notes the whole time. So just to pull it all together and to give my opinion on it, and to be frank with you, when you spend a lot of time into something, you become real passionate, especially when you're building it. Like Turbo. Turbo's in the construction, and I bet he takes pride in everything he builds. Because he knows somebody's going to live there, somebody's going to look at it. Somebody's going to be like, "Hey, Turbo built this." You know what I mean? So he's going to take pride in it. And it's the same thing in Web3. When somebody's building, somebody's taking all that time to build, there's passion behind it. And so, one of the things that you're talking about is consistency, and that's a big thing. But, how do you stay consistent and take your personal time in Web3? Because Web3 doesn't end. And it doesn't end because I'm going to be frank with you. Just about in about 20 minutes, will be 13 hours straight on Spaces. The club space just ended like 40 minutes ago. And then I jumped over here because I can't miss the JJ, and the Turbo and the Web3 Breakfast show. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to catch me a little nap afterwards. You know what I'm saying? So how do you take that time when you're passionate and you're trying to show the consistency and you're trying to build and push the time forward when Web3 doesn't end? And I think a lot of it comes down to is when you build a project and you're that leader, I think it's important for that leader to have aces in their places and to build a team around them that they can rely on and be accountable for what they do as well. And I think that's how the leader will be able to step away from the space every now and again, and be able to take that time to recharge.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most important like factors is like, all right, if you put the right people in place and the communication still gets out, because I think, that's probably one of the biggest things that screws up a lot of projects is the communication, right? When the project leadership fails to communicate with a community, and even if you miss a deadline, as long as you just say up front, hey guys, we're having an issue, or you just literally say anything as opposed to avoiding it. I mean, that to me would solve so many problems as far as meeting expectations of your community so that you don't maybe have to face as much adversity as you do. You don't have to face that possible getting, fudded by your own community just because you didn't feel like saying, hey guys, not going to make it today, or hey guys, something came up, can't be on the call, or we hit a dev snag. There's just so many ways that you can communicate clearly just to save like a lot of ass ache, in even like the short term. Don't even talk about fudding the whole project down to nothing, because we've seen that happen. Love, what you got?
I just want to, you posed a question, and lately one thing that I do as forms of insight, right, is I tap into Chat GPT and Binge, and I ask questions, right? And so I posed the question, what are the top 10 traits of a Web3 warrior? I will read you the top 10 traits. Okay. I think, does this apply on you? And what are your areas of strength and weaknesses in these areas? 1 is an innovative thinker. 2 is a blockchain expert. 3 is the decentralization advocate. 4 is a continuous learner. 5 is a community builder. 6 is a problem solver. 7 is ethical and transparent. 8 is a skilled communicator. 9 is resilient and adaptable. And 10, being a visionary leader. So I don't know what a Web3 warrior looks like, but I know what I look like. And I'm for sure.
You calling me, Love? You calling on me?
I was going to say.
I'm just saying, were you checking the boxes? As I was running down the list?
I think
you're a Web3 warrior.
To answer your question, man, all you got to do if you're listening and AI Love poses that question, just look in the mirror. The whole idea is that's the whole purpose of why you would want to be, in this ecosystem. And I'm really going to expand on this Web3 warrior mindset thing. I think that there's something here. And again, being able to just transform just the positive. You guys know that I'm super positive, right? Like that's just the way that I conduct my life. And so I loved when Machiavelli actually, kind of spun the degen word into the decentralized generation, right? Like that's what we are. I think that was a much more positive way to approach that whole ideal. because degen, like, to the outside world, when you say degen, like, I think it's a turnoff to people, like, honestly, to be perfectly honest with you. And if you want to be accepted by society, and I know that some of us are a society of rejects in our own minds, right, and why we're here and why we, and I use that term like not like it offensively, so please don't take it like that, but so that we've got this place where, and now I've lost my train of thought because I didn't want to offend anybody there. Whatever.
I am a reject. I never made it. I'm a society reject.
I'm sorry.
That's why I'm here.
I've spent plenty of dollars to prove that I'm a reject. I buy useless and meaningless NFTs because people come up with the craziest community concepts and ideas, and I'm like, why not? Yeah, man, I think a huge part of our culture is being degenerate to a certain degree,
But let's not. But that's what I mean. Okay, so there we go. We're back on track, and so that's the whole point. Is like, let's find a more positive way to say the same thing, right? Like an NFT and a digital asset or a digital collectible. It's all the same thing. But people don't like the term NFTs, but people would probably vibe a little bit better with the digital asset. It's the same kind of thing, like degen. You can be a degen, but be a Web3 warrior, man. Have that mindset that you are here to grind. You are here to make a difference. You are here to help people and also make a fuck ton of money, right? Like, that's the mindset of the Web3 warrior. And it doesn't have to be the negative connotation that a degen has with a lot of people. And that's, everybody can carry themselves how they want. And I'm not here to say like, hey, if you want to be part of Web3 Breakfast, you can't be a degen, because God knows, I'm a degen. I will slide the leverage up to 100x like that, like, that's what we do, and that's who I am. But like, I think when we want to move the industry and our ecosystem forward, we just need to start finding different ways to say things so that they become a little bit more, I guess, accepted. I don't know.
And here's the thing, right? Like, acceptability is transparency, right? And transparency is honesty and truthfulness. And then that allows for the means of interaction and doing business to be equal and fair. And my biggest fear in decentralization is just what you talked about there. It's moving the needle to a point of no return, to where it's moving. That would empower the powers that be to move it towards a authoritative sort of technological state. I don't want that. I want the degeneracy, I want the independency, and I want the acceptancy. I want you to be able to. Should be a space where that tie doesn't matter, that suit don't matter, those heels don't matter, that look don't matter. Like what it is that you're looking to bring to the space is what matters, right? And some of the most innovative forms of applications and technologies is just that, right? Like the degeneracy of it all. No, I don't feel like waiting. I don't feel like, being patient. I want it now, right? And that's the win culture. So the last thing I would want something to do is to lose its essence, right? It's like a lot of music today is hard for me to listen to because it doesn't have its substance that it once held, right? The vibration from the instruments aren't there. The acoustics aren't there from the actual person singing the vocal. Everything is more detached from, I'm a holistic type of person, so I'm a little unique, Jay, in my own perspective and manner and right. But there's a reason for being in my train of thought from my exposure to life. These things are important. We don't want to dehumanize each other.
Facts. We don't want to dehumanize each other. I'm with you on that one. Let's go modern Canadian, and then be frank. Unless Turbo, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I was just gonna call the hands. That's all I was gonna do.
What a guy. What a guy, man. Appreciate you, dog. Mike, what you got for us?
Hey guys, GM, how are you?
GM.
I don't know about like so much for founders, but like I know in like my personal experience, you just gotta have faith in what you're doing. You gotta like have like trust in the plan. I know for me, like I don't have anybody in my circle, in my family, that is remotely interested in crypto. You talk about crypto, it's like, oh, it's just for criminals. So like this group and Twitter are like the only people I can really freely be myself and talk to about like what I'm passionate about. So like, when you hear all those negative things, you start to like question yourself. And I did for a long time, But now that we're, out of the bull market into the bear and it's coming back out again, I'm getting more faith, and the more research I did, I just trust the plan. Like, it's going to work out. Investing in crypto is the way to go, and it's working. And we're going to prove everybody wrong, right?
Hell yeah, we're going to prove everybody wrong. That's
a big fact, though.
We're already there. Like you can already say that, right? Like you could already say, to when you even with the price of Bitcoin and where everything's at and the rest of crypto, especially when we get to Thanksgiving, like when you sit down at the table, you can be proud of where you're at now. In years past, like we've had to be embarrassed going back to the family at holidays, like, oh, how's your internet money doing? Now it's being more accepted worldwide. Like there's like some stats and figures that might be contrary to that, and obviously very volatile and all this stuff, but like on the whole, I mean, AJ, how many wallets did Algo, like 1 million wallets in like the last thing? What was that statistic that you said the other day?
It was here, let me pull the chart really fast.
Something like 1 million new wallets were added, right? And so like we're starting to see the growth, in all the different ecosystems, like on an exponential level that is going to keep happening. Like,
yeah, I was about to say, I think if anything, like the current conversation in the economy is going to leverage Bitcoin after these holiday gatherings to foreseen heights, because now the conversation is going to be had. Okay, if it was fake internet money at one time, why are these institutional players getting involved? And now you're talking about the largest asset managers, like the largest asset managers. Like this conversation is quite different when I'm speaking to my relatives, and it's like, hey, either shit or get off the pot, and you better be shitting right now, or you're gonna be saying
We ain't doing no poop talk.
We ain't doing no poop talk. You know what? That's such a good expression too. I'm going to have to eliminate that one from my vocabulary, just because I know, like, if I were to use it, y'all will just start. He's like, oh, he went on it, so we're going to run with it.
I was ready. But Modern, you said something, bro. The one thing that you said that really resonated with me was you said, I get to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like the whole thing about this space. You get to be yourself. Like, like how many of us live lives that we don't get to be ourselves? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I say weird 100. Things and I do weird stuff. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, that's weird. No, man, it's who I am. I like to have a good time. I like to dance. I like to, act wild. So, I mean, like, bro, be yourself, man. That's exciting.
I was telling my wife about this yesterday, like playing big time with, my guild, and just being in voice chat with people and being able to talk about crypto freely, and everybody's into it. And there's no pushback. It's just like, even when I went to my first conference, it's like you're just talking to people and it's open-minded. You can have really good conversations. There's no like people playing devil's advocate and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so it was so like relieving. Like,
yes. Sometimes I think you're gonna keep talking and then it just ends. And I'm waiting for like.
Yeah, sorry.
It's totally good. I
don't want to drag on there.
No, you're totally fine. Come on.
I was just trying to explain how it's like it's just like it's like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? You actually talk to somebody without pushback all the time.
That's the thing, man, and I love the access that we have to people who are like us, right, that want to talk about those same things. And like all of us, I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, when we get around people who maybe don't know about crypto, we want to talk to them about it. I'm certainly guilty of. I would say that I ask about 98% of my Uber drivers if they're into crypto or NFTs or any kind of blockchain, right? Like that's my go-to conversation in an Uber, because most of the time it's I got like an hour drive from my house to the Atlanta airport, right? And so I'm not just going to sit in silence for an hour when I could have a conversation about crypto with somebody, right? And so I will try every single time. And so, a lot of times I get, people who are into Forex trading. And so they have a really good concept of, or an idea of the concept, but don't know anything about crypto. And so it's just really fun to have those conversations. And that's what people should be doing, right? Like just the more often that if you've got to sit in an Uber with somebody or whatever, just have that conversation. And that's how you start to bring people in. Remember, it's not about, I got to find a way to bring 1,000, or 1 million people into this space. Like if everybody just brought one person in, we would double our ecosystem overnight. Like it's just It's very easy to do. Be frank. Be frank with us.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You already know what time it is. I'm ready to be frank with you. You caught me in the middle of writing a note. If you really want me to be frank with you, because that's what I'm good at. But so when you're talking about riding in the taxi and talking to people about crypto, one thing I really knew and really learned really fast is you got to know your audience and you got to know who you're talking to and how to relate it to something that they're interested in as well, or you're just going to turn them off altogether.
Yes.
They're just going to shut you out and not listen to you, right? But I also wanted to bring it back because I got a notes here, right? I'm real good at that. That's how I keep my thoughts now. Write them down while I wait. And I wanted to bring it back to A called AI and what he was saying about his list, right? And I thought it was interesting because one thing we did not talk about is what was not on that list that is real heavy within this space. And anybody know what I'm talking about?
I was writing a note. I was writing a note myself there, so I don't forget it.
I'm talking about the I could do it myself mentality, right? Because I think we see that real heavy within this space, and I think that's what we got to get rid of because you can't do it yourself. As you can see, this space doesn't end. And I think that's why it's real important to have your aces in places and people that are loyal to you and that you can depend on and trust, no matter what you're building, no matter whether it's a coin, no matter it's an NFT project or a Twitter space or a podcast. It doesn't matter what you're building. You got to have those people that you can count on to be there when times pop up IRL and you're unable to be there. They can help you out and be like, yeah, I can relay that information. Because that you're still being consistent. Somebody's still showing a face for whatever that project is, whether it's a podcast or a space or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's still there being consistent, holding structure and having accountability. Somebody's still there to answer questions and to give a reason, whatever the reason is. And whether the people like it or not, somebody is still there. And that's the part we're talking about, consistency. But you got to have your aces in the places because one thing is for sure, you can't be everywhere all the time. You can't be on all the different apps that this takes place on and answer everything all together. You just can't do it. So, and I think it's a shame because, you've seen people who've probably split ways with really good projects just because they had the I could do it myself mentality. And some of those people aren't in the space anymore. And those people really had potential, but they had that type of mentality and ended up taking them out to space.
People can be their own worst enemies. I got to tell you what, be frank, you got the quote of the day today, and that's have your aces in the places. So we're going to get that thing up there. One thing that you said, man, it resonates so well, and I'm glad you said it because I did not, and it does further clarify even the point of talking to the Uber drivers. Anytime that I have the conversation about blockchain or crypto with somebody, that literally is how it goes. Because if they don't understand it, say you're Uber driver, it's like, you say, is this all that you do, or do you have like a day job? And most of the time they'll be like, oh, I got a day job in this, right? And so then now you've got yourself an opportunity to say, oh, okay, so this is actually like, in my opinion, like how, a thing like, NFTs or blockchain could help your industry. And then they're like, oh, that's really cool. That's amazing. So like, yeah, kind of like doing that association, what relates to them. So it resonates and makes more sense. And so it's not just number go up, buy coin number go up talk. That's the way to do it, man. I'm glad that you said that because it reminded me.
Well, can I just tap that off with a cherry because you also one of the spaces one of the things that really get people in the spaces, right? Don't you love it when the host is like, oh yeah, and I got some alpha for you, and then all of a sudden the space rugs, like how does that make you feel, right? Like we all know that feeling, right? So I mean, you kind of got to do the same thing IRL. You gotta feed them a little bit to make them want to go do research.
Can't you shoot it all in one shot? That's how you either confuse somebody or end up being disappointed. AI love, you got the hand? You got the hand.
Hey, man, hotness, man. Yes, we do. We got the hand. We hold each other's hand, man. We lift each other up. One thing about it is, be frank. Yeah, no, you can do it on your own. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how powerful it'll be. everybody wants to be a part of something great. And the great thing about decentralization is we have an opportunity to harness that power and be great in our own right. You know, look at the market. Listen to what they say. It's a creator's market. You know, this is you're building all these tools to empower the creator. You know, so get out there, build. If you don't know how to build, you got a passion for something somewhere. Find that something somewhere. Get with someone that can help you get that something and turn it into something, you know, and that's what we're here to do. At least I know I am. You know, I've always been a Web3 warrior. I'm gonna continue to be a Web3 warrior, you know, because it's empowering. I can't tell you how many lives we affect, even just by these mere conversations, let alone the assets that we get and the monetary gains. You know, some of our flips $50, especially on Cardano. It doesn't sound like a lot, but to someone in East Asia, that's the whole world, you know. So we have the ability to give an impact on scales that has never really been seen before. And who can play a hate on that, man? It's your boy AI Love. It's the Web3 Breakfast crew. You know it's a hard stop at 10. Thank you, Jay Change, for hosting the space and let me be a co-host while Turbo was on the road.
You know that. You know that. B Frank, what you got for us before we go? Can't leave a hand hanging for the. You know, I don't think you got the pit stand for the weekend.
No,
so.
I was just going to make it. I apologize. I was just going to make it real quick because I know it's a hard stop at 10, and I just wanted to walk that back a little bit, AI, and I appreciate you, bro, because you know I can't judge somebody else's visions of success off of my vision of success, but I guess that just shows my mindset.
That's it. It's about having that mindset, man. We're all Web3 warriors in our own minds. Have a great weekend. Do something great. Do something amazing. Be amazing. But most importantly, have some freaking pizza tonight. Because you know that's what I'm doing. Pepperoni, some pepperoncinis, banana peppers, and some fresh garlic. That's my new order. Love it. Y'all have a good one. See you.